All right. A little slight change of pace now. As you know, we have covered sporadically the war in Ukraine. And what is our editorial stance? Well, it's not pro-Putin. That war started because Russia invaded Ukraine. And all sorts of discussion about whether or not that's because Ukraine looked like it was going to join NATO and all this rubbish. Russia started bombing Ukraine, and Ukraine fought back, much to the surprise, I think, of the Russians. And depending which echo chamber online or which X feed you're on, the Ukrainians are about to break or the Russians are all ready to throw in the towel and Putin's about to be overthrown. Very hard through the fog of war to get a picture of what is going on. But someone I know well who's appeared on the program a fair bit has been to Ukraine recently, and I thought it would be great to talk to him about his impressions from his trip there. So a warm welcome, please, to Curia Market Research's David Farrar, who joins us on the line now. David, hey, when did you get back from Ukraine? How long ago were you there?
I got back only around 2 weeks ago, so I was in the country for 4 days. You can't fly in for obvious reasons, so I landed in Moldova and had our land transfer over the border.
Yeah. David, how did you get there? Why were you there?
I was there to attend something called the Black Sea Security Forum. This is put together by some civil society and democratic political groups.
Atlas Network?
So what's that?
Was the Atlas Network involved?
I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find a link. I've been involved with Atlas, so of course it's an Atlas Network event, yes. I see the Washington Post decided the Atlas Network is what brought down Jacinda Ardern, so the power grows by the day.
Yeah.
And what this was, so I got to go through the International Democrat Union, that's a centre-right federation of centre-right parties around the world.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating because it's probably three things that interest me. It's politics, it's economics, and it's military. And what I found out is, firstly, on the economic side, this war isn't just about the impact on Ukraine or even Europe, because 20% of the world's grain comes out through the Black Sea. And when Russia took over the Black Sea, prices went skyrocketing, you were facing starvation. But there's a sort of flip side here, is that Ukraine, despite having no navy, they lost in 2014, has sunk a third of the Russian Black Sea fleet. And you think, how do you do that with no navy? Well, they had one of them in the conference room, drones.
Yeah.
$50,000 drones. And this is changing warfare. So we had a former Supreme Commander of NATO there. If I was Taiwan, I'd be buying a lot of drones at the moment. If I was America, I'd be very worried about whether 100 or 200 drones could actually take down an aircraft carrier, because traditionally you have these defences against big missiles coming in from sea, against planes, against torpedoes, but not against 6-foot-long boats with explosives on them.
Yeah. Well, also, though, I understand now there's the development of technologies to counter drones, and that is jamming the signals that they operate from, jamming the radio signals. So, that's the way things go. I guess the thing I'm most interested in is Ukraine running out of fight and running out of men and running out of will, because this war's gone on longer, I think, than anyone on either side predicted.
Definitely no to all three. And that's not to say that anyone there thinks they're going to get Putin out of Crimea. Everyone in the room's a realist that there will be a negotiated settlement at some stage. But what they're also realistic about is that Ukraine is not about Ukraine. Senior MPs, ministers from Moldova, from Sweden, from Georgia were there. They're all preparing for war. They're not spending more money on defence to send a signal. They expect Russia will attack them. They'll have a pause for a couple of years after Ukraine. But Putin, you should believe, he wants to recreate.
So this would include countries like Finland, David?
Well, Finland, you'd have to be really stupid to take on. But there's a reason Finland joined NATO. Absolutely. And they are solidifying their border. So people here think, is it because there were some neo-Nazis in one little outfit in Ukraine or Zelensky? None of the locals there are talking about that. In fact, they're a bit hurt. Russians, to them, they've all got Russian ancestry. They speak Russian, a lot of them. And they just couldn't believe, that they're trying to have their government and their identity toppled, basically. So there will be some sort of negotiation, but what's important is how strong you are at the time of negotiation. So that's why they want to keep fighting. And what they most of all want, and again, General Clark was very compelling on this, is they want to be able to use weapons supplied by NATO to hit targets in Russia. At the moment, they're not allowed to do that, but General Clark said, look, this country's invading you, trying to wipe you out. This is total war. Can't attack civilians, but you should be able to bomb their electricity supplies, bomb their critical infrastructure, blow up bridges in Russia, etc. And that would really make quite a difference, especially in terms of getting Putin to the negotiating table.
Yeah.
The fear, of course, is would Putin use nukes? But they pointed out he's threatened this 10 times already. And it's something you've threatened, but is pretty unlikely.